We got all over them guys. Latest out of Florida, 49.2%, 47.7, getting up there, Earl, to 230 or 130,000 ahead. Virginia, 50.2 to 44.8. There's 30 some thousand point lead there in Virginia. Still 100 and some thousand point lead in Florida, and that thing's got to be almost 95% in.
It's you should get to about 9.1. So what you're talking about is 8.6 or 7, and so I just saw that sound's looking better now. So we'll keep working on that. We'll keep working on the stream for you guys tonight. Still waiting on the Liberal results. We're expecting them now in just a few minutes. Get the Liberal results to you as soon as we've got them.
We just got about our next poll is going to be closing here in about a minute or so. It looks like.
The overall look so far hasn't changed a whole lot. Trump and Pence, 76% or 76 electoral votes. Clinton, Kane, 68 electoral votes. No surprises in any states out there. Mississippi, Alabama, Oklahoma, Missouri. Now, Missouri was supposed to be at one time, they called it a toss-up state. It's not anymore. That state is gone Trump. So far, still waiting to see the numbers in Georgia. We were told at one time that Georgia may be closer than expected. I'm not seeing that yet.
We're just kind of thinking, objectively about this, about the impact of what I think could be the vice presidents. I know without a shadow of doubt that what a great pick, and Pence versus Kane. I think that may, some of the never-Trumpers, or maybe the ones that was kind of going, well, I don't know about this guy and this and that, but I know that Pence has truly helped the race. I believe he's helped him more than Kane has helped Clinton, given the look of Virginia. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, when you look at what Hunter Pence, I say the baseball player, but when you look at what Pence has brought to the table, it's calmness, and it's not going off of the edge on any of those major tangents. He's held it even and steady, and I think that's made a big difference.
Can't believe it. New York's been called for Hillary.
What do you know? Kansas,
Nebraska.
As soon as the polls close, what do you know? They're called Kansas, Nebraska, and Wyoming. All go for Trump. Okay, now paying attention, North Carolina. Now we're down to a 3,000 vote difference, Rick.
North Dakota, South Dakota.
68% votes in. And now you're talking about basically a dead heat in North Carolina. This is kind of like what we saw earlier in Florida. It's kind of mirroring how Florida came in. And I'm telling you what, folks, tonight's going to be an interesting night politically. I mean, no surprises yet, but the states that he has had to win, he has.
Virginia kind of is. I mean, if you would say it's still too close to call. You're right, 6,000 points. Or maybe 5,000 votes separate North Carolina right now. So the rural areas are coming in. Just called Wyoming, South Dakota, North Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, and West Virginia.
Okay, folks, you're going to hear firsthand here. This is Jessica Crawford, our newsroom editor. Jessica, how you doing out there?
We're doing just fine. They're cleaning up the area right now, and they have some very unofficial votes. Now, this is not including Kismet City and Station Verdager. She says, has not gone to the T. Her doesn't I are from the T yet, so this is extremely unofficial. However, we have a presidential. We have Trump Pence 62.27% over Clinton Kane at 32.0%. That's a pretty big number right there. U.S. Senate. We have Jerry Moran coming in at 67.29%. Patrick Weisner is behind them at 25.57%. Roger Marshall in the U.S. representative 1st District, 70% over 17%. Carrie Burt, we have 12.69%. Alan Lopley, 16.79%. Now, Senate, 38th District, Bud Estes, quite a big lead, 68.33%. Over Miguel Rodriguez at 31.38%. Let's see what else we have here. Shannon Francis, of course, unopposed, we have a 99.0.7% there. Clint Peterson, 98.91%. C.J. Weststein for County Commission District 1, 95.27%. Again, these are unopposed. Jack Jacobs, 99.26%. County Clerk, Stacia Long, 99.27%. Catherine Romine, 99.4%. Karen Morgan, 99.43%. County Attorney, 99.17%. With Russell Hassenbank, Bill McBride, 98.30%. Again, those are unopposed, and we're saying we have all precincts reporting except Kismet City, but this is so unofficial. I wish I could not stress that more.
Sure. Well, we appreciate those early numbers. Jessica, do you have anything, or have they had anything on the judge retentions yet?
Nothing on the judge retentions yet.
That
may come later. That's kind of an interesting one to watch. I do have a few little statistics for you, however. Pretty high record numbers. Election day alone, this does not include any early ballots. The 2,661 voters today. Pretty big number for the city level, Seward County.
That's a strong number. That's a strong number, and I know they're working hot and heavy out there, and we'll let you get back so you can get to the at least some final tabulations, Jessica. Thank you for that update. We'll get one more from you before the night's out. We'll check back with you in about 10, 15 minutes.
All right, thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Jessica.
Bye-bye.
So there's some early numbers from Seward County. Percentage-wise, no surprise. Marshall coasting in the one contested race for the big first. And looking at, here's one that surprises me. Bud Estes and Rodriguez, 68.33 to 31.38. Rodriguez hasn't campaigned at all. I've never seen him in Seward County at all. He never stopped by here at the newspaper. And yet he pulled 31% of Seward County votes.
Boy, maybe if he'd have done a little, coming in here a little bit, he's from Dodge, so I'd like to see, and we'll share them numbers with you at Ford County to see how he has done up there.
That's just still surprising to me that Bud Estes, who won easily, 68.33%, with a guy who isn't even actively campaigning. That's a bit of a.
I believe that's a party line vote right there. That's a party vote there. Democrat would be just.
But that would show, to me, the Democratic Party in Seward County must be willing, because to get 31% of the vote for someone who's not even participating in the election at all is a bit of a surprise. A bit of a surprise to me.
You know, Earl, when I look at all this stuff coming in, early leads, it seems like in states that, and it's got to be, I don't have time to do research on this, but there's got to be a trend there to where North Carolina's tightening up, Florida tightening up with that, and Ohio now is, Trump is ahead. So the areas that I know they report first, like I know like Denver, I know that it's got to be a trend that the populous cities come in first.
Well, I just want to share this. You got Florida. Trump's got 140,000 vote lead. 140,000 vote lead, and you're talking about 7. You're talking about only about 400,000 votes to go.
It's almost to a point.
I mean, that is getting close to being called. I don't know how you can't. I mean, 47.6, 49.2. It's a 142,000 vote lead with 400,000 votes to go. So if we can see 200,000 more votes come in, and that doesn't change, you got to think Florida is going to be called. And like you mentioned just a moment ago, the race in North Carolina, Trump is now taking the lead with 70% of the vote in. It's a narrow lead. It's only about 14,000 votes.
And we still see a lot of counties that look like the rural areas.
Yeah, and the rural counties, there's still some rural counties to come in, and I think I did an estimate of 4.5 million votes, and right now you're at 3.2, so you still got 1.3 million.
Where's my slide ruler at? I knew should have passed calculus in gosh, I knew I should have. I had this all figured out.
Well, pull out your abacus and, the hypotenuse, you gotta figure all that stuff out to know.
Be like what's the old boy, the glasses, white hair, he always has a clipboard.
Oh, you're talking about, that was, Paul Rove.
Yeah, so here's my clipboard here. I got the Senate races on here. Sitting in here and watching this, I remember when I was a kid, I'd stay up and with my parents and be so excited about, even when I was a young guy, they let you, well, I live in about 14 miles north of Plains, and we voted in this little, I remember I was probably maybe 7 or 8 years old, and they had a ballot for kids. This was a ballot where everything was kind of typed in, and you had marked your color in your box or whatever. But I was so excited, Earl, as a 7 or 8 year old boy, and it's in this little township, I think it was an old schoolhouse or something, and they had the voting there out in Myrtilla County, Myrtilla Township, and I was so excited to have that ballot filled out as a 6-7 year old boy. It just thrilled me to death that I think I really thought my vote counted, even though I was too young.
Well, how about this? Surprise, shocker. Just about 12 days ago, they were saying that Texas was pink, not deep red. But here we go tonight. Texas has been called for Donald Trump. That's 38 electoral votes. But we have right now, and this is still very early, but Trump's at 140 electoral votes to Clinton Kane's 140 to 97. Trump's needing 130 more electoral votes to get there. So you got to look out there and see.
29 from Florida, is that right?
Florida would be 29. Georgia is still out there. Louisiana is still out there. Iowa is still out there. Smaller populous states, Montana, Idaho. You're looking at Arizona, Nevada, Utah. And right now, North Carolina is looking good. They talk about how this map, there's nothing surprising so far. There hasn't been anything that has flipped so far. Everything has gone the way it's been said. But Missouri, which was a state that was supposed to be on the bubble.
See, a projection coming up here. I wonder if they're going to...
that one, Missouri was on the bubble, but it's not on the bubble anymore. And so right now, it's come down to what everyone said it would come down to. These key states.
Yeah.
This is going to be quite a night.
Real quick, you wonder how the impact. Gary Johnson's got almost 200,000 votes in Florida. The impact, Earl and I have talked before, we believe that Johnson, I think, dings a little bit more off Hillary than what off Trump. So you gotta, the thorn in the side, the old independent guy, and he has pulled out almost 200,000 votes, which, sometimes it works for you, sometimes it works.
Now, their map as it read. So CNN has called Florida for Trump.
Got Missouri in blue though. I don't know.
I think it's Illinois.
Oh.
We're still working on geography, but he's coming along. Florida has been called.
Arkansas, Texas.
for Donald Trump, I believe, on that. Certainly not here to make any calls other than what we're seeing in scrolling through state houses and other media outlets to see what they're coming in at. But the math is getting just impossible, near impossible to overcome. 300,000 votes left in Florida.
Back in the map here, they got it still, so I don't know what, must have been somebody clowning around and
Someone's pushing buttons.
pushing buttons.
But the map is 4, 7,
Maybe
8,
CNN,
300,000 votes to go, and Trump has 132,000 vote lead.
so what's it, you gotta get 200, theoretically, it's almost,
You almost have to get 200. You got to get more than 200,000 votes of the remaining 300 and some thousand votes just to tie.
see, they got Nebraska blue, see, there's Missouri blue. I don't know what them guys are doing.
They don't either.
This old boy here, I don't even know what his name is.
They don't.
Blitzkrieg, but,
No. Let's take a look at, let's see how things are going in North Carolina. This thing has been a seesaw. Trump has taken about a 23,000 vote lead with 71% of the vote in. Let's swing over to Virginia. With 72% in, and this one is still blowing my mind. Trump is winning 1.4 million to 1.3 million.
man, looks like some rural counties are still out, right?
And I don't know where all of the remaining votes are going to come from. Typically, at this point, 100% of Sussex County is in, so that's not going to help her anymore. 100% of Brunswick County is in, that's not going to help Hillary anymore.
Ohio, 51% to 40. Trump's up about 200,000 in Ohio early. Florida, the numbers keep on going up. The latest number I see here at CNN is 49,000 minus 17, or 130. Yeah, that's about.
I'm telling you, this is way early in the night. But I'll tell you what, if I was at the Trump party, I'm feeling pretty good in the Trump party right now. How could you not? You weren't supposed to win Virginia.
30. There's a what is that? 70, almost 80,000 point lead.
That's a 78,000 vote lead in Virginia right now, but you still have 70-some% to go.
I can't tell
But
much is in.
what I've looked at, well, I'll tell you, Rick, I've looked at the main counties that are big-time counties for Hillary. 94% in the Richmond area. You're talking about 90% in Albemarle. Brunswick County is 100% in. Clinton won that one. You're looking at Sussex County.
Almost 150 now in Florida, 1,000 votes.
Hampton County, Norfolk County. These are mostly all in Virginia, and there's still 28% of the vote to go, but with 2.7 million votes cast, 1.4, about an 80,000 vote lead for Trump in Virginia. I never would have, that one was off of my map. I had written Virginia off of the Trump map for sure. Ohio was coming in, supposed to be a 3-point favorite for Trump right now. He's about 7 points up.
Michigan's got 47 for the tied there. That's on the Drudge.
I'll try to take a closer look at Michigan if you want to.
I'm back to the local elections. I am very interested on this judge race. Hopefully our mics are okay. And we want to thank everybody for tuning in. And I know we may not be like Fox News here, but we sure try. And thank you from Wichita. Go Shockers, go Hawks, go Sooners also. So I got to throw the Sooners in there all the time. So even though I get heck about Sooners being the whole school about cheating, because they was there sooner than anybody else on the Oklahoma Land Rush. So I get a lot of rads from Earl and my buddies about the Oklahoma Sooners. But you know what? They were just opportunists. They had an opportunity and they went for it. Earl, what's Michigan look like?
Well, here's some early exit polling numbers for Michigan. Independents make up 25% 29% in Michigan, not as high as some other places, but of those, 51% for Trump, 35% for Hillary. So Trump winning the independent vote there in the exit polling. And Republicans make up 31% of the state. Trump held on to 89% of them. Democrats make up 39% of the state, so significantly more than Republicans, but Hillary held on to 87%, so she did not hold on to the Democrats as well as Trump held on to the Republicans. Another state, Rick, I don't know where you grew up, but the states here, the gender gap again is in the female's favor. In Michigan, 52% to 48%, and Clinton is winning 53% of the female vote. Trump's winning 52% of the male vote.
That's pretty. I mean, you think, I'm not going to be, but you think the women vote would be more. I mean, I think the gap would be larger, wouldn't you? Right now in the exit polling.
Well, when they say all this, that Trump is doing terrible with women, you would think that would have been around 60% or higher, and it hasn't been. And so now take a look at Michigan as a whole. So far,
Upper Peninsula. You can tell the
Lansing's not in yet. Grand Rapids isn't in yet. Detroit's not in yet, and you can guarantee those three are going to go for Hillary. Right now, Trump has a slight lead of 15,000 votes, but don't expect that to hold tonight.
Ohio 50. Almost a 300,000 point lead as of right now in Ohio. Still very early. Florida, Earl, we're at 71,49,000, and this darn thing I can't see the percentage in.
93% in Florida, and it's still 160,000 vote lead for Donald Trump, and you're talking about still around 300,000 votes to go, but when he's got a lead of a half of that, it's almost mathematically, statistically impossible for any other outcome. I just can't believe, but really, I can't believe it hasn't been called yet. If there's 9.1 million voters, now they're estimating 94% of the vote in, 6% of the vote remaining in Florida, and Donald Trump is just walking away right now with the remaining votes coming in Florida. 4,498,000 votes to 4,351. That's 147,000 vote lead with 6% of the vote remaining, and I just don't see how the math works on that.
I'll try to go get to Fox, but I can't find any Fox. I'm going to have to.
Ohio, 50% in, Trump leading by 7 points. Not a surprise there. This is a bit of a surprise. Virginia.
How much reported?
74%. We're almost to 75% reported, and Trump is still maintaining a 66,000 vote lead in Virginia, and it just depends on where those other numbers are coming from. Hillary can still get some help in Richmond, and I expect that she will get some help in Richmond.
That'd be a bonus, though. That's not Virginia. It wasn't in play at all.
Right. If Trump wins Virginia and Florida and Ohio and can hold on to North Carolina, they talk about paths to victory. Hillary's path just got very, very difficult if that happens.
It might be that it's a turn of the tide might be I don't know. It's still too early.
74% of the vote in Florida. I'm sorry, in North Carolina. 74% of the vote in North Carolina, and Trump has a 47,000 vote lead there.
I go to New Hampshire real quick, girl. It's 70, 80 votes different. But there's a lot of people still out, right?
And look, I mean, you're only talking about a little bit urban area, of what we would consider urban area, around Concord, Manchester.
This is only 18 or 10% in, so still.
Nashville hasn't come in yet. There's still a lot to be figured for those four
It's kinda
electoral
crazy
votes.
right now.
Yeah. Now Pennsylvania, this was a long shot. Trump had been there for a long shot. He trails right now by about 170,000 votes, with only 12% in. But you're talking about Philadelphia being in.
There's that trend again.
Pittsburgh is coming in, and that's heavily Hillary. Allentown area, and I can tell you that's going to go for Hillary. Now Harrisburg area,
Still area.
that's a little different. But yeah, but there's still a lot of counties out that haven't been touched yet. That one's still out on the hot burner. The ones we're watching with great interest, with 74% of the vote in North Carolina, Trump is holding on to a 1.4% lead there. It's about a 50,000 vote lead there. Virginia, to me, the surprise of the night so far is Trump winning there right now by 61,000 votes, with 76% of the vote in. If Trump takes Virginia, I'll be stunned.
Yeah.
I'll be absolutely stunned.
I think a lot.
Now have they called that yet? Because now they've...
Projection map.
Okay.
Thinking maybe this might what it be. It looks
Well, how did they project Missouri? No one else
not
is...
projection, like maybe filling in some blanks here where things might be at. One right now in Ohio looks like about 170,000 point lead, or 170,000 votes.
And in Florida, this just isn't changing for Hillary. It's 140,000 vote lead for the Donald, and that was supposed to be, according to all exit polls, that was Hillary for sure.
47,000 CNN's got for North Carolina. The Don's up. But a lot of there's some rules out, and there's probably some...
Right now in Seward County, they're figuring voter turnout right now. We should be getting another update from Jessica here in not too much longer. We'll get an update, hopefully get all the final numbers on that. And Rick, what do you think the FBI vote was in all of this? How would you weigh that?
Boy, that had to change some minds, and Trump just bull rushed at the very last. I mean, campaigning like a wild man from Borneo. He went in there, and I know that had to have some effect. That had to swing some people thinking, you know what? There's emails out. Humana, is that her name? Her husband, Anthony Weiner, and even if it's not really classified material, I seen a report where a maid was faxing classified documents. It's just a loose cannon of insecure server, a third-party server, and just and I think that those on the border went in and thought, just with this latest FBI 655,000 emails, the WikiLeaks, the throwing the Sanders people under the bus, and saying stuff about different minorities, and it plays a factor. I think that FBI. I mean, you talk about a Christmas gift. If coming early, that was like that could be a lifetime of Christmas gifts right there. That FBI coming in there.
Now, friends over in Meade County, here's your results tonight in the presidential race. 83% of Meade County votes Trump, 1,390, 206 for Hillary. So 83 to 12. There, Gary Johnson got 4% of the vote with 61 votes, and Jill Stein, 18% of the vote, 1% of the vote. over there. Jerry Moran dominated also 87% of the vote in Meade County. Roger Marshall dominated the vote in Meade County, 73% to 21% of Allen Law Police. Now, this is more what I thought Seward County would be like, and we'll see when the numbers are done, but Bud Estes in the Kansas Senate, he gets 86% of the vote in Meade County to 14% for Rodriguez. We're starting to see some of the no votes, and let's see what we're seeing here. No votes seem to be winning in Meade County, 57 to 43%, 58-42, 57-43. So
That's what.
that'll be interesting to see the trend across the state. Now, Meade is obviously one of the more conservative counties.
Yours truly was born there in Meade County at the Meade Hospital. So even though I love Meade County, I love Meade, even though I went to Southwestern Heights Mustang and the Meade Buffaloes are our big rivals, I love Meade County. That is my, yours truly, I was born there. And a little fact here, my birth date is with Elvis, and you know this. I will be buried at Graceland someday. A little humor here.
Wolf throws ashes in the gates, so on the flowers.
And it's the truth. I will be buried at Graceland someday because the cemetery in Meade, where my grandfather, my grandmother, my mother, my sister, my relatives are buried at, is called Graceland. So how fitting is that? That born on Elvis's birthday in Meade County and be buried in Graceland. So, and born on Elvis's birthday. So a little, then that is, you're all right. Growing up in Meade County, that is about as conservative as you can get in that rural farming community.
It's 8 o'clock in the East.
Now, how about,
Donald Trump will win Missouri based on eggs.
I don't know where that's coming from. How about,
Based on a technicality, he's going to win Missouri. Oh, no, I'm just kidding.
how about this? There are 200,000 votes to go in Florida, and Trump has 150,000 vote lead. 200,000 votes to go. I mean, how do you not say that that's going to go Trump? I just don't know what else is left out there. Every county has been somewhat accounted for. There's going to be some numbers trickle in from one county to another. For example, 94% of Miami-Dade County, which went heavily for Hillary, is in. 6% of that county will come in, but 6% of that county won't be enough. 6% of 900,000, that is 54. If she got every single vote out there, it would be 54,000 votes, and that should still be 100,000 down.
You know, unless there's, 100,000 votes that's hidden somewhere that amazingly appears out of thin air. Maybe, Harry Potter down there in Harry Potter's Wizard's World strum up some votes. Virginia, let's see. Oh, the line of them is no longer available. I just went down on my side, but you had Fox up over there, right?
I'm looking at a variety of different ones.
I heard Brett Baer talking.
Yeah, and he was projecting Missouri. I mean, I don't know why that was even a case.
I guess I'll go to NBC News. See what's going on.
I mean, Missouri was called by most people a long time ago. Let's take a look at the overall numbers. Trump is now up to 148 electoral votes, and Hillary is up to 104. The U.S. Senate still only has the one seat that's flipped so far. There's still a lot of votes to be counted. Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, those seats will all stay Republican. Illinois seat was a flip. There's still the seat in Missouri to be determined. There's still the seat in North Carolina, New Hampshire. New Hampshire was a very hotly contested Senate seat.
What's it looking like right now in New Hampshire?
Right now, it's a 2-point race for the Republican there.
Ariat, is that her name? Not Ariat, but...
Pennsylvania is one that's probably going to be another net Democratic pickup. Right now, Toomey is losing by about 19%. there. Wisconsin is probably going to be another Democratic pickup. Feingold is competing with Johnson. Right now, Johnson has a lead, but that's one that the Democrats certainly believe that they can pick up right there. So that's how your Senate's shaping up so far. And we'll switch back over and see if there's anything new in Virginia. Well, so far it's still a 41,000 vote lead for Trump with 77% of the vote in. Still a bit of a surprise there.
In Kansas, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's the rule or the city areas, but Trump not a crusher in Kansas so far. It's about a 30 to 40,000 point lead, but I'm just like it's been all night that the populous Kansas City and like Wichita has come in, and the trend is, I mean, it's just a no-brainer that the cities vote a certain way.
North Carolina now, a little bit of distance, 80,000 vote lead for Trump with 77% of the vote in. So that's looking pretty good if you're a Trump supporter. Florida is looking good if you're a Trump supporter. Florida and North Carolina, two states you absolutely had to have to stay in this thing, and right now you're winning them. What is going to be the shocker of the night, what could swing the whole thing, is Virginia. And nobody, I don't remember anyone talking about Virginia. They were talking about possibly Michigan, possibly Pennsylvania. But those were outliers. I mean, that would be a real grasping at straws.
Yes, you're right.
New Hampshire was a definite possibility. And what I'm seeing in the other states, I would think that New Hampshire is more than just a possibility.
Michigan's a possibility. Early results in Minnesota. This is very early, 2% in. There's a 48% lead for Donald Trump, but that's way early.
It's a dead heat.
It's a dead heat, basically.
But
just picture Minnesota being everything just plumping into and working at the day's end. I talked to a lot of people from Minnesota, and I had to be very careful when I talked, but a lot of the people and there was quite a few from Minnesota and Iowa and Wisconsin that came through, and when I got the feel, most of them, was kind of, it was probably a 70-30%. Most of them were, in the voting the Trump way. So even I talked to some people from them states that to kind of get a feel. So it's very, very interesting how it's going to play out. North Carolina looks like, about a
59,000 vote lead. They're 76% in, so there's still 24% to go.
That's good.
Well, North Carolina is a must-win for Trump. Florida was a must-win. You had to have it for Trump. Ohio, a must-win for Trump. And then New Hampshire. That was my path for Trump to win it. He would have to win those plus hold Arizona, Nevada, Iowa. We haven't seen anything on Iowa yet. Those he would have to take. But if he takes Virginia,
that's huge.
That's huge.
That is huge.
That changes everything on everybody's map. Everyone's talking about there was a possibility tonight that the whole map gets rewritten in America. What I'm seeing so far may mean that's true. And for those of you who are interested, North Carolina just took, or Donald Trump just took North Dakota. So, 3 electoral votes.
Now, here's a shocker roll. 90% Hillary Clinton in Washington, D.C., and 10% Trump. So I know that's a huge, shocker there.
We haven't seen a lot of surprises, but a lot of people said this night could be over early if Florida didn't go. Seeing just making sure the difference still 150,000 there, 94% in. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 4.9, 8.9 million, 9.1 million. I'm still saying 200,000 votes to go in Florida. So we'll see how that plays out. Let's take a look at a state like Georgia.
I think Georgia's pretty well.
Georgia is leaning heavily Trump right now, 59% to 37%. I don't know where the people were talking that that looked like that would be
Georgia map
closer.
real quick, I'd like to see how many percent of the Atlanta has been in there real quick. Let's see, Florida's still about that 146 to 1. We got our next polls closing here in about 20 minutes. I think Lester Holt's going to go take a bathroom break here. He's going to splash some cold water on his face. Projected winner in Tennessee.
Yeah, with 45% of the vote in, that's still very preliminary, but Trump is up by 350,000 votes in Georgia. 16 electoral votes at stake. Hard to see how anything is going to
See Nebraska here
flip there. Well, what it's split is they elect based on the congressional district, same as New Hampshire. So there's always one that could be a question mark around Omaha, but it's been polling strong Trump all throughout the polling
I don't
season.
understand that. So you're saying your vote don't count there?
Well, no.
Congressional district?
You still get one electoral vote for that district.
Okay.
Instead of, it's not a winner-take-all state. Every state's a winner-take-all state except for New Hampshire and Nebraska, where they do it by congressional district. They're doing some what-ifs, but
What ifs? They've got Virginia.
well, see, when they flip that, look what that does.
Yeah.
So they're doing some what-ifs on the electoral map right now, but I've done that for the past 2 or 3
They
weeks.
flip here for 272. I wonder. Nebraska. That's a wash.
They're just playing on that channel with it. Yeah, so far, Trump is still holding steady in Florida with his basically 150,000 vote lead, 95% in now, so 5% to go. So you're talking about 900, a little over 900, just about 200,000 votes still, right around 200,000 votes to go. The path is seeming very, very difficult for Hillary. In New Hampshire, it was polled dead even, 47.4% to 47.4%, Rick. Still a lot to be counted there. It's only 28% in. But New Hampshire's 4 electoral votes could not mean more.
Here's one of our friends here, Jim Rice. Suddenly the tide has changed on ABC. Dadgummit, Trump may just pull this off. Poor old George. I don't know, George Soros maybe, or that's maybe he's talking about. That's something from Jim Rice, just kind of checking out some local.
Jessica is on her way in with the final results. So here in just a moment, we will be able to give you all of the Liberty results, and then we'll let you go web surfing, channel surfing, and we'll do the same. But we'll bring you everything we have for the local election results, the final tallies, and so you know how our county voted.
Neighbors about 11 miles away in Tyrone. Trump 310, Clinton 35.
Now, take a look at Ohio with 60% of the vote in.
Go Bobcats.
Trump has now moved out to a 10-point lead, 1.4 million to 1.78 million. I don't think anyone saw that margin would be there. And I think people in these newsrooms across the country are still in a holding pattern, as we all are. Now Virginia's really tightening up. Trump's lead is down to 12,000 with 80% of the vote in. Now it's 10,000 with 80% of the vote in. So Virginia, who was projected to go Hillary by 5 or 6 points, right now
Teasing us.
is coming down to the wire, Rick, with 20% left out there. That's still plenty for her to catch up. So obviously there's some pro-Hillary areas of Virginia that are just now starting to come in.
And that wasn't a state that wasn't even in play.
Most people didn't consider that in play, and now you see North Carolina kind of falling in line, so to speak. Trump up by about 90,000 votes there, 77% of the vote in. So it looks like North Carolina is definitely one that Trump could continue to hold for the Republicans there. Florida continues to look good. Looks like about 100 and she's come into it a little bit. 111,000 vote lead there.
30 or 40.
111,000 vote lead with 950. So still about 150,000 votes to be counted, and who knows where.
NBC says 95% in with basically 140,000. Michigan's about a 50,000 point lead with 20. Still only 20 points in, or 20% in.
Miami-Dade's 94% in, like I mentioned before. There's still 6% to go there. Broward County still has plenty of votes that could be counted towards Hillary's total. Palm Beach, also one that can go her way. The Orlando area seems to be 100% in. Orange County is 100% in, so she's not going to get any help there. No help from Osceola County. Some other Trump counties still have some percentages left, so when you look at it, it's going to be difficult to see how she makes up 110,000 votes with just 200,000 left out there. New Hampshire now, Trump has a 2,000 vote lead, but only 30%. Okay, here comes our local numbers.
All right.
And share this with you. Bring these up for you. Our final tally, and realize, of course, when I say final, these are still have to be canvassed by the Seward County Commissioners before they're completely done. But it looks like in Seward County, the total number of votes cast were 4,817. That's 46% voter turnout. That's a pretty significant number.
Is that higher than most years, or?
That is, and we'll definitely be talking to Stacia about that. Okay, Trump Pence, obviously a winner, 3,025 to 1,491 for Clinton Kane, 63% to 31%. Still, Democrats holding 31%. It's still a 2-to-1 Republican advantage in Seward County, but the Democrats showing up and holding their own for the number of people that they've got in the county. They held their own. Jack Jacob, obviously unopposed, 99% of the vote for him in Commission District 5. We understand Dr. Jack is also having some health issues, and we want to offer our thoughts and prayers to him as he's fighting an illness there. And so we want to be thinking about him. In the U.S. Senate, no surprise here. Jerry Moran, 3,000 votes to 1,100 votes for Patrick Weisner, 67% to 24%. You have U.S. Representative First District, 2,979 for Marshall, 70% to 706 for Allen Law Police. Here's a strange one. Carrie Burt, 529 votes for Carrie Burt. Who would have saw that coming in that race? So obviously, I think the Democrats were favoring Carrie Burt, who didn't campaign at all for that one. Bud Estes, 3,030 to 1,332 for Miguel Rodriguez here in Seward County. And let's see here, we have Shannon Francis in a runaway, 3,885 to 35 write-in votes, 99%. So Shannon, 35 people, 0.89% vote somebody else in. We don't know who, but they wrote somebody else in. Bill McBride coasts unopposed, Clinton Peterson unopposed. Let's see if we can find any of the judges' numbers. Here's some judges' numbers on the yes versus no. It seems like, let's see if I'm finding the right judges here. It seems like at least Seward County has decided very narrowly, 51 to 48, yes.
Oh.
To keep them. Chief Justice Nuss, 51% yes, retaining, to 48% no. If that happens in Seward County, these justices are staying. There's no way.
Was it the fear of the governor, since people are kind of down on, gosh darn it, help me out here on the governor.
Oh, well,
Brownback, that they're thinking, I don't know, I thought that was going to be a slam dunk, but if Seward County is on, I guess they'll be okay then.
Yeah, that's quite a departure. What we're going to do for you folks is we're going to have these votes up on our website at leaderandtimes.com. You'll be able to go there. You'll be able to see all of these results and glean through them. We'll have them in tomorrow's paper at leaderandtimes.com or print here in town and also online at leaderandtimes.com, so you can find all of that. Rick, any parting shots you have tonight?
I don't, no, just it's going to be a long night, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and whatever parting words is, whatever happens in this election, it's not politicians that make this country great. It's not the president. It's not senators. It's not congressmen. It's the average, everyday individual that make this country great. And my Sunday school teacher would say, Rick, nothing against Canadians or nothing against Argentinians or Germans or the Swiss, but I'd rather be American than in any other country, or any other nationality, or any other countries in this world, if you could be from. I'd rather be American than anything. So that's who makes America, is the guy that's at the butcher shop, the farmer, the editor, the old boy that works 2 jobs, just regular common folk. That's what makes America great. The American soldiers, the veterans, the senior citizens that have put in their time and have worked and struggled and went through the lands. That's what makes America great. The veterans, the working class, and that's what makes America great. So never forget that. Politicians kind of, Mark Twain, I guess, said it best. Politicians and babies need to be changed often, and almost because of the same stuff. So that's what America's all about. Justice, liberty for all. Thankfully, we live in a country where we can express our opinions, whether it be a Democratic opinion or a liberal opinion or a right-wing opinion. But we don't get persecuted for it here in this great country. In other countries, for China, or if you live in the Middle East, well, you got one guy on the ballot, and that's who you vote for. You don't have a democracy. So, good or bad, America has always been that beacon of light in the world, and I've said this to Earl many times. A strong, prosperous, safe, secure America equals a strong, safe, prosperous world. If America is great, the world is great. If America takes the lead, then the world is great, because you can't leave the the world security to, and a lot of people say, well, we're the world police and we're tired of this, and this. And you can't leave, Earl, the world to the Russians, the China, because they're not going to look out for the best interests. So America, exceptionalism, I have no problem with it. I'm pretty sure France and Great Britain in 1940s, I'm pretty sure they didn't have a problem with American exceptionalism. How about World War I? I'm pretty sure they didn't have any problem with American exceptionalism. So, this country, people kind of jump on the back of the United States and say, well, you, and colonialism and this and that. And you know what? This country has done a heck of a lot more good than it has bad. Not perfect, but far better than the likes of the USSR, the communist China. So Earl, that's my opinion, and that's my 2 cents worth, and that and a cup of coffee will get you a nickel, if that makes any sense.
One thing we'd like to say to all of our voter crews who are working out there tonight, thank you. Thank you to Stacia Long and all of the other folks who helped her out get the election tonight. And for everyone who voted today, thank you. 45% voter turnout, over 4,000 votes cast here in Seward County is a testament to you and to you doing your civic duty. And so thank you to the voters. That's what we have here from Seward County. Rick and I are going to keep debating what's happening across the country, but we won't make you have to stand it any longer. We'll do that. You enjoy the rest of your evening. Go to LelandTimes.com for tonight's results. They'll be up here in just a few minutes. And check out the newspaper tomorrow when we get reaction from the candidates and bring you all of the results as we have them tomorrow. And by tomorrow morning, we'll also know who's president of the United States.
And one quick note, I'm pretty sure a lot of people's got a bottle of whiskey at home. Either you're going to drown your sorrows or you're going to celebrate. So, a little humor there at the last. But God bless America and God bless Seward County.
Thank you for watching us tonight, and watch for more live coverage of Seward County events coming soon.